question out of the way that everybody asks, right? And that is, the boys are always pranking everybody on set. So they want to know, do they prank you ladies as well?
Once, they surprised me. Jared hid behind a door and picked me up and spun me around, and it was like being at Disneyland. It was very hot. It was like nosebleed tall. But that was the only thing they've ever done to me.
I never got pranked. Ruth and I played a prank once, but it went over horribly. And these ladies have heard this because it was the one episode where Amara and Rowena spent a lot of time together in that beautiful, scenic, dank, dark, cavernous. We were in this like old grain silo. And both of us were like, why? If these two women are like off on this secret retreat together, why would they choose this spot? Why wouldn't they like go to the spa or something? But so we were doing this scene where she's like running her hands over me and she's supposed to be healing me because I got zapped by, bad. Well, I guess they weren't technically bad, but to me they were bad. And we were whispering to each other and we were like, and Ruth said, okay, on the next take, I'm going to just like grab your boobs a little bit and it's going to be hilarious and everyone's going to laugh. So we're doing the take and she's running her hands over me and then she gets there and she just does a little like boop. And there was just dead silence. Nobody reacted at all. And so we kind of like communicated with each other. We saw it in our eyes. We were like, just finish the scene. So we finished it up and then we were like, what's up, guys? Did anyone notice what just happened? And they were all so respectful and so not accustomed to just having like two women in a scene together, because that never happens on that show, that they assumed that we were just making a character choice and that it was a very serious thing indeed and that they should not laugh. So nobody even got it when our prank wasn't dumb enough, apparently.
We did a funny.
Yeah. Nothing. The end.
I know. Your humor was too smart.
It was a boob.
I know.
That's not even very smart.
That's saying something that was too smart for them.
She needed to say,
yeah. Honk, honk. That would have sold it. Next time.
No, but Jared wrapped his pants in tape like a diaper, and that caused laughter for half an hour. So,
Lowest common denominator.
You've been warned what happens if you don't have questions. I don't think they need.
Yeah, who's got a question?
I don't need a microphone. I've got a diaphragm. That's the muscle. The muscle. I mean.
Surely somebody wants to ask something.
Come on. Otherwise, things become uncomfortable. And I will make them uncomfortable.
All right, right here.
Okay. No, wait. Is this actually a question, or are you delivering information?
No.
Earlier I asked you a question.
This is a question.
Okay, it's an actual question. All right. Okay, all right.
If Mary Winchester and Sheriff Mills teamed up, who do you think they would be hunting?
Did everybody hear that? If Sheriff Winchester and Jody Mills teamed up, what do you think they would be hunting?
Lunch.
First lunch, then whatever needed killing,
Yeah.
and then tea with bourbon in it.
Yeah. Right?
Whatever, especially anything that was hurting like young people.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, whatever needed killing at that particular moment.
Do you have an answer for
I
that?
don't know. It's not. Hello.
What
I
do
have
you
fear
think
of
they would be
touching the
hunting?
mic.
Anything. So they only take the Winchester sloppy seconds? Is that what you're saying?
If I had to think of something that Winchester hadn't hunted, it'd probably be Shape Sister Turns into Ghost.
Oh.
All right.
We're getting the crossovers now. Yeah. I think Jody's.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Jody's tired. She'd hunt whatever was in front of her.
Jody be hunting a nap.
Proximity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking a question. See
The
how easy
cameraman
it
keeps
is?
raising his hand, and I keep thinking he has a question.
You guys, asking a question is so easy. Yay! First acting gig?
Wait, you mean pay? Because I'm like 3rd grade when I was.
I was a caterpillar in 3rd grade. Yeah.
I was Glenda the Good Witch in 5th grade.
Ooh, of course you were. Totally see that.
My first paying job was Seinfeld.
What? That's huge.
It was so weird. I was like, they're gonna fire me. Every
What
day
did you
I went
do?
to
What did
work,
you
I was
do?
like, they hired me by accident. What did I do?
Yeah.
I was one of Jerry's girlfriends. But I was one of the few that fired him. He was annoying. I was
Yeah.
like, no. Like I wasn't like Big Hands or one
I
of
gotta
those.
go watch this.
He stole a jacket at it was called the Friars Club. It was fun. It was really fun. Crazy intimidating, and normally you film in front of a live audience, and for this episode they do block and so normally with a sitcom you rehearse all week and then film that last night in front of a live audience and just move the scenes. You do each scene like twice and move on. This one, for some reason, they shot like a regular show, which is, you do little scenes throughout. And I was so nervous, and they are all like Jason Alexander and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. They're all stage actors and consummate professionals. They've been doing this show for like 8 years. And I get on the show, and they're like, oh, no, and I'm like, and they're like, okay, yeah, you're going to need to talk louder. And I was like, okay. And Jason Alexander was like, okay, come here. And he was really lovely. He's like, you see, how big sound stages are. And he's like, you see that water pipe in the corner? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, talk to that so it can hear you. And trying to do that, they could possibly hear me now. So they had to I was so nervous. I was like afraid I was going to be fired. And then so when you have scripts, when they do rewrites of scripts, the new pages come in and they don't give you a whole new script unless there's a ton of changes. They give you a new color. So you just switch out those pages. And this was back in the day before email, so they would deliver the pages to my front step. Like they had some PA runner at 5 a.m. delivering new pages to everyone's houses. And I'd pick them up. I'm like, oh, and I'd put it in my bag. I had no idea what it was for.
God. Oh, yes, I remember that pain.
Yep. And I get there, and we're doing the scenes, and I'm like, what are they saying? Why are they that's not. And I would just go ahead and say my line, and they'd be like, okay, where are your pages? I'm like, the pink one's in my bag. And they're like, well, okay, can someone, can you? And I was like, yep, getting fired. Yep, nope. But they just kind of held my hand through the whole thing. Trial by fire.
Not fired.
Not fired.
Woohoo!
So, yes, it was very memorable.
Oh my God, the agony of realizing that they rewrite things in the middle.
And you all new script to learn. You're like, but I had it planned.
William Shakespeare never did this to me.
My first gig was not nearly as illustrious as Seinfeld. My first gig was the soap opera Guiding Light. Yes, and I was a character who appeared in a flashback. And in the current storyline of the show, people had been hearing about me for a while because apparently I broke up a marriage. So they were like so excited to meet me. My name was Regina, and I was a cop who was going undercover with my partner. And of course, since I was a lady cop, what else could I be undercover but a prostitute? Because that's all you can be. True. Yes. I'm sorry. There's so many different things. So we're on stakeout in this truck, and I'm supposed to like lean over, and I'm supposed to be caressing him. But it's a big truck, and it's got those bucket seats and like a console in the middle, and I couldn't get close to him. It was the most awkward thing in the world. But I tried. I like leaned over and I stroked his face, and then my truck door opens, and his wife on the show, not in real life, who comes up to here on me, is supposed to pull me out of the truck. And she goes, I knew it. I just knew. I came because I knew. And then I like scurry off because I was so scared. And then my character came back in the present because there was somebody that Mallet was my partner's name. We had put him away in jail. Yeah. His name was Mallet. Her name was Harley. My name was Regina. Very bland compared to those names. So then I come back in the present day, and I'm worried because someone that we put in jail, I think, is stalking me. So I come back to Mallet, and I'm like, listen, I need to, I'm a little worried about this, da-da-da-da-da. Mallet, in the meantime, has become a bodyguard. So he says, so you're asking me to be your bodyguard. And I had to deliver the line, you can guard my body anytime, Mallet. And this remains to this day. That remains one of my greatest acting achievements, that I was able to deliver that line without laughing. I don't think I've ever topped that.
I think that deserved an award, frankly.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, yeah. I'm not sure what you'll find.
You can guard my body.
You can guard my body anytime, Mallet. Kim?
Mallet, my first job was a play. I had staged for a long time before I did television, but the first television I did was Another World.
Oh.
Yay!
Well, that was my first TV. That was not my first. I did plays before I did the TV.
Yeah, I did the play, but the first TV was also a soap opera for me. Soap operas. I don't think
I've never been on a soap.
But I did.
Well, there's not many left, so.
I know. I think I missed my chance.
Yeah, and they're slightly better. Like, there's a little more gravity given to them now. I don't think you have. No, you probably still would have to say you can guard my body anytime, Mallet.
Well, now I feel like soap operas have just been replaced by like Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Yes, yeah. Housewives. Housewives. Yeah. Who else?
Real Housewives of Supernatural.
Well,
I mean, Housewives. There's not really
yeah.
Housewives.
I can imagine one of them being a witch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, Rowena would be absolutely in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that couple of witches in that one episode, Sam and Dean had constant therapy after they failed to kill them.
oh, the witches that are still alive.
Yeah.
The witches they didn't burn.
Yeah. They came from the Buffy show.
There's a lot there. There is. I don't know what the Real Housewives of Supernatural would look like, but I have a feeling that within a week, the fandom will. I think Scout's going to start drawing something as soon as somebody gets there.
I have a question. So,
Yeah.
The show's centered around the two guys, right? And what they do and everything. How do you feel about
What two guys?
having a role here and there to really stealing the show, so to speak, right? You ladies came in and you're really stealing the show and really taking a bigger role, and it's made it more significant, right? As far as what you guys are doing and how it impacts the story. So how do you guys feel about that, and how did you, do they come to you and say, hey, we're going to give you more screen time, or do you guys fight for it, or do you guys say, hey, we really feel like we need to really step this up?
I wish.
It wasn't like that. It was more, I think there was a lot of like, we're going to throw this character in there and see how it does. And then if the opportunity happens, we'll make it grow from there. And then usually there's an abrupt falling off a cliff at the end when there's no more time for this character. But what I will say is it's a strange thing about Supernatural that basically every female character is super badass in her own way. Strong women, independent. There are no housewives of Supernatural, except Mary, and before she got killed the first time. No, but they weren't. There weren't like stay-at-home moms in reality. Mary originally was, but she was hiding a whole hunter thing. Like they're all strong, independent.
What's her name with the pies? Help me.
Mary.
No, Bobby's
I don't know.
Bobby's wife.
Erin? Karen?
Karen?
Yeah, her name was Karen.
She was
No, I'm
badass with the
thinking of
pies?
Somebody else. There's somebody that had pies all the time. That Elizabeth played.
Did she try to come over to fight Bobby?
All I'm seeing is pictures right now, so never mind. I'm like, I'm seeing pictures and I can't attach words to them, so
Right.
never mind.
That happens. In any case, my point was that they killed them all, but they were strong women. There wasn't a lot of decorative, significant female characters, and I really appreciated that. And they were all very different. They weren't just different versions of the same woman. I appreciate that you think we came in and took over.
Yeah.
I like that.
But there was never any need to like fight for more screen time. I think because Jared and Jensen, well, they are both very gracious and humble people, and I think they're also smart enough to know if they have other strong characters, they don't have to do all the heavy lifting. So maybe some of it's just fatigue.
Well, and also like just the two of them all the time wouldn't have been interesting even for them. Like they want to have
No.
other people to play with and like make storylines around and like you said, then they get to actually rest
Yeah.
while we're filming our stuff. Because that was a lot. Like one season was a lot, never mind 15 of, especially in the beginning, you know, they worked like all night, half a week, every week. It was intense for the first 2 years. Got better later, longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
What was the most difficult scene we had to shoot is the question.
I'm torn between emotional difficulty and physical difficulty because there were definitely like physically uncomfortable things that had to be done that I was willing to do because it was important to me to do my own stunts. But I think honestly the hardest thing I had to do on the show is listen to the gunshot of my child music. Like that still brings me to tears because that's not something you can half-ass. If they're looking at your face and you're faking it, it will show. So I had to find, and I had become a mother by that point. And Jared was so generous with me in terms of helping me focus on what the show was and what did this mean and what was that. And so it was that was probably the hardest thing I had to do is that just that one quick shot of hearing what was the rest of my life, like the ending of one life and my life and the entire beginning of Jody that I had no idea would be ever back again. That was probably the hardest thing I had to shoot. I think that's fair. Yeah, it was intense.
So, I mean, I have the two as well. That the physically, I think the cage match fight that I had with Ketch was probably the hardest. It was an entire day, 12 hours, 14 hours. I had whiplash by the end, and even though I had a stunt girl who, by the way, tripped over, because stunt people are professional and they know everything, and then when the worst thing that can happen to a stunt actor is they have to do the scene with half of a real actor. So as opposed to a stunt actor, not a real actor, that came out wrong. Like two stunt people together make it flawless. You throw an actor in there who's not a stunt actor and they just screw it all up. And I do the same thing. I've kicked people when I'm not supposed to. I'm like, sorry. And he accidentally had his foot in the wrong place and she tripped over it and hit her head so hard that immediately, like a golf ball came out like that, so much that they had, because a fight scene like that you film in order, because when something like that happens, you can't go back and fake that was there. So they had to quick draw on a lump on my head and a fake split of my eyebrow, because she had like blood and a cut, and we couldn't fake it. So that physically was incredibly demanding. But emotionally, there was a scene where, also with Ketch actually, where I'm begging him to kill me because I've been brainwashed and I'm like at the end of my rope. And that was not fun. Like, because you have to put yourself, part of your brain has to believe that you're there. Otherwise, you just look like a 10-year-old who's fake crying, you know? So that took me a minute to recover from, because your body as an actor, there was a scene where I was in a huge fight with the boys because they found out that I was working with the British Men of Letters, and they like kicked me out of the bunker, and we're sitting there yelling at each other, and we know it's fake. We're not crazy, but your body can't tell the difference. It can't tell when you're crying. Like your body's like, we're crying now, or we're angry now, and and your body feels it, and it takes a minute. Like, so the crying and not begging for my life, but begging someone to kill me, that was challenging for sure.
Okay, I guess I have two as well. I remember in season 11, towards the very end, when there was, after all of this time of like trying to track down my stupid brother and just like get him to give me some answers, that's all that I wanted. I finally figured out where he was, but I had to get through witches and angels and demons, and Lucifer / Cass impaled me with a spear. It was like Amara's no good, very bad, terrible, icky day. And shooting it was like really fun in one sense, because like I got to do all these cool stunts, but it was also exhausting, and it was freezing out. And Amara in season 11 she was not concerned about weather, and she did not dress according to the elements. She just wore the same black, which I get. Like, she doesn't have to think about her outfit. She just puts on the same thing every day. It's very practical. But it was so cold outside, and I would like put, those little hand warmer things. I would like put them in my bra. I would put them in my underwear. I was doing anything to try to stay warm. And I was just like endlessly pulled up in this harness and like swung around in the air. And I'm fake reacting to all these things that will be CGI'd in later. So I feel like an idiot. So that was a long day. But I think emotionally the hardest moment for me was at the very end of season 15, in the very last scene with Chuck, when he revealed to me that Dean had lied to me, and that in actuality there was no hope of trying to bring everyone together. And I think that failed hope is ultimately what made her just kind of give over to him and say, okay, I guess it's just, I'll go along with your idea. And I think that was so heartbreaking, because I think that I love that the connection with Dean, even though there was a kiss at one point, it was never turned into this like big romantic, stupid, people would have been so angry at me. So I'm really grateful for that. I remember when I got the script where I had to kiss Dean, Misha came up to me and he said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The fans are going to hate you. And that, to this day, I think that's still the question I get asked the most, is about that kiss. So I'm glad that they didn't ever like really go down that road, and it was always this strange connection that they had, but we really never knew what it was. But she was willing to trust him, and he lied to her, and that just really broke my heart. Yeah, dumb boys.
Did I ever meet her? Oh, sure. Amy Gumanik.
Amy Gumanik. She's awesome.
I didn't know about that storyline until I watched it on the show, and I was like, oh, that's not me. Wait. And then my immediate second thought was like, thank God, because she's supposed to be 17. And I was already in my 30s when I started the show years before, and was supposed to be 28. So 17 would have been rough. What I thought watching it was, wow, they cast a girl that's a lot like me. She has a lot of my similar mannerisms, similar essence. Like, I can't say we look exactly alike, but there's definitely similarities. And then I met her, and she is delightful, but she is not just like me. She had watched a couple of things I had done and emulated my being, and it freaked me out how crazy good she was at it. And she's delightful. I love her. I thought she was great as the young Mary. And she's just a dumpling. She's a sweet, sweet, funny girl. Yeah, we like her. We're fans. I didn't really. There wasn't anything I wanted, like that I would only wanted to keep. But they sent me a few things from my wardrobe, and they sent me one of the nightgowns. So I have that in a little box, just to have. It does not have the blood or the slash. It's just it's nice. It's just and it's pink, and it's I think it's one of the original ones. So I just have that as a little keepsake, and I have the back of my set chair. You guys probably do too. Yes? No? It was such the end of the show being during COVID. They had 4 warehouses of stuff between clothes and props and I couldn't think of any. I was like, "Can I have one of the cars?" And they said no. So that was it. So did and Jared got one too. And Warner Brothers kept one. There were 8 or 9 of them, I think. There was Baby 1, which is the one that Jensen got, and I think Jared got 2, and then 3, 4, and 5 all had pieces missing, dented, broken. They used them for parts. Because I was in an episode where they smashed the crap out of it. They literally drove a car into us, and I was like, "How did?" Ugh. It wasn't Baby 1. They didn't do that to the brand new one, but yeah, they had some to spare and wouldn't give me any. I don't know. What about you? Like a piece of jewelry or anything? Did she wear a ring?
I wanted all of Amara's clothes from the last season. Oh, yeah. And I did go on Poshmark, and I found some of them, and I bought them. So I have her step up with she wore the same thing all the time, and then all of a sudden she discovered Reno, I guess, and discovered fashion, and all bets were off. So I appreciated that about her.
It was noticeable.
Oh yeah, all bets were off in Reno.
The ding ding ding. It was noticeable, the fashion elevation, because it was. I remember every outfit. I was like, oh,
right?
She's like, oh, I can have whatever money doesn't. I'll have that and that.
See, once you let go of the resentment of trying to, chase down your brother and seek revenge, you have time for things like fashion. This is our lesson, I guess. Let go of resentment and you'll dress better. Oh, yeah. Yes. It was. Thank you. Yeah. I was so glad they did that, because when I first found out in season 11 that Rob Benedict was my brother, because Chuck is hilarious, I was like, oh, we're going to get some just good old stupid sibling rivalry in here. And we didn't have any of that in season 11. It was all very serious. So I was glad that some of that got to come out in season 15. That was very fun. So thank you.
Which is one scene that each of you had to do a bunch of takes?
Season 12, episode 12, I think, where Mary steals the colt from a prince of hell, and everything goes completely wrong, which, never happens in Supernatural, where things go wrong. So there's a big, Misha, Castiel gets really injured. He gets stabbed, and I have to help him into the barn. And then Sam and Dean come and meet us. And it was about 30 degrees that day, both in and outside the barn. And it was snowing, so the barn floor was wet. And I had to, I have Misha leaning over my shoulder, and I have to bust open the barn door, the swinging door, and limp him in and drop him on an abandoned back seat of a car, just sitting on the ground. And the stunt coordinator at the time was worried I was going to slip, so he made me put on knee pads after I was already at set. So you have long johns, 2 shirts, a sweater, a flannel, a jacket. You've got a wire, the mic going through, boots, belt, and then he's like, here, put on knee pads. And so you go, and it's like undressing a kid for a snowstorm, right? You have to go to the bathroom in this little tiny thing because your trailer's back at the home base. So you go in this little tiny bathroom, you take it on, you got to take off your pants and the boots. and the long johns, and then you put the knee pads back on, and you walk back like this to set, and then you fall on your butt. And so I kept crashing through the barn door, and I actually had bruises on my hip from hitting. It was right where the cross beam was on the barn door, and it like cut into my hip. I was like, let's not do that anymore. And Misha, to make it look real, I was like, you have to lean on me at least a little. And he took it very seriously, and I was like, oh my God. And so I'm limping him in like this, and I go to drop him on the thing, and my foot goes out, and I try to catch myself, and I go back like this. When I fall, I just can't stop laughing. So I went floop right out of camera, and I landed on my butt really hard, and then I tilted back and hit my head on, like, you know those big tubes of gas, like in a cart? Knocked that over. Meanwhile, all I sit up and I see Brad, our camera guy, look like this. He's like, because I had just gone like, bloop, right out of frame. And we had to keep doing that because I kept, and then I was afraid, right? So then I was like, so that super uncomfortable, completely clumsy thing I had to do about 20 times. I was very tired that day. So that was my repeat. You guys probably had to do anything with the boys that would make you laugh over and over.
No, they didn't. We had, for some reason, we were always behind time, so there was a lot of like, okay, that's great. And I'm like, but okay. But the only thing that I ever did a lot of times was where Jody has discovered that Borax kills Leviathans, and Bobby comes in and thanks her and accidentally kisses her in his enthusiasm, and Jim and I knew it was the last time we were going to work together, so we just kept messing up the kiss a bunch of times.
What does messing up the kiss look like?
A lot of fun. Like, oh, we dropped out of frame? Sorry, got to do it again. So we made sure we had time. We had warned them. We're like, we're going to do a series of this kiss just because it's the only one these characters are ever going to get.
Oh, boy.
So we're going to give them a lot of options.
Wow. I don't have anything that fun. I remember it was a very strange situation when we were shooting the second to last episode of season 11 when we were all in this big, I don't remember what the building was supposed to be. I'm sure somebody out there can tell me. But it was after I had fended off the angels and the demons and the witches, and I come in and I get impaled with a spear. And then I'm finally confronting Chuck. And it's this like big dramatic, this like Greek epic of, me finally getting to talk about these betrayals. But when we shot it, Jared and Jensen needed to start shooting scenes for the next episode that same day. We had 2 different units going. And so we had to do like all of their coverage. And then we had to do our coverage without them there on this hugely dramatic scene, which was not ideal. And so I just remember that being so tedious because we had to map it out so many different ways and like make sure on our coverage like there was no chance that they were, I don't know, but we had to do that a lot. And it was just tiring because I had like the fake hole in my belly and very emotional, yada, yada, yada. Lots of crying.
Well, it always takes a long time when there's so many people in a scene anyway. And then if you have to do, because, you've had the cameras this way, and then you have closer in this way, and then you got this, and so if you have to do multiple scenes or multiple versions of a scene all this direction, and then you feel like you're done, and then they turn it around, you have to do it all again without the 2 actors that are now being read by someone who reads the script like this, and you're like, yeah, it's challenging.
It's hard. So I have answers. I was asked a question remotely, and I didn't know the answer, so I put it out on Twitter. The question was, when the angels fell from heaven, why did they look human if they weren't in vessels yet? And so I have a number of answers. The first one is, when they fell from heaven, they actually looked like light, and there was a shepherd whose job it was to procure vessels. So actually, that was it. That was one answer, if you're actually looking for an answer. But I also got a lot of, I don't really remember. This is weird. I've had a similar question. Bad writing. My brain hurts. I've fallen down a hole and can't get out. I don't know. The fan theory is the fall budget and writing. So please tell your friend I have put out a thread. There are a number of different options. Please don't look for logic. This is a hot mess of a thread. Yes. So supernatural writers were lazy, but for plot reasons I don't know. So there is Why did you do that to my brain? I hate you. So there's any number of options now to choose from. I think it's like a choose your own adventure book. Pick an answer you like and tell your friend that's the answer. So there we go.
Yeah, there's a supernatural book called The World's Not Taken.
Okay. There are many supernatural. Got it. We have time for one more question? One more question. Ray.
What are your ladies' favorite things taken out of quarantine? Like, if you learned something new or you tried something, like anything like that.
Out of quarantine? I learned I'm autistic. I didn't know that before quarantine. I just thought I was broken and really, really weird. I may still be, but at least I'm also able to go, oh, there's a reason. There's a lot of things that make sense now that used to just hurt my heart. And now in this context, it makes me go, oh, thank God. Okay. Oh. Woo, what a relief. So that was an exciting quarantine because I had a lot of time with myself. So I got in good with my brain.
I don't like cooking. I mean, I did. I don't now. 3 meals a day. I'm so bored of food, and I'm so bored of the dishwasher. So that's a negative.
What's become your favorite takeout?
Anything that they will bring.
Yeah.
Anything. But we actually started, like, once or twice a week, we'll, like, not get, sushi or Indian. We'll go, how about that really nice Italian restaurant down the way? Because you can Postmates or whatever. You can get anything in a city, right? I'm like, that's fun, and also, I like staying in my pajamas. Those two things were not as clear to me before. I made and bought several robes. They're my favorite. And one I made like a really long. I'm like, I need ladies in
Made robe? I love that.
And my dad sent me early on last year in quarantine. My dad sent me my grandmother's vintage sewing machine. So it's from the 30s. And it goes and I rebuilt, like I rebuilt the whole thing. I had to change it's run by like a rubber ring. It's plugged in. It's not a pedal. It's one of the new electric ones. It literally goes forward and backwards, and that's it. But it has an attachment that moves the fabric so you can do zigzag and buttonhole. And you just let it go. You're like, whoa. But it's like black and iron